Hello and welcome to Weirdo Award Game of the Year 2023. In 2023, we saw amazing games being published over and over and over to the point that people were truly discussing which one of them is gonna be Game of the Year. And yet, typically in this Game Award shows, indie games tend to get outshadowed by AAA games, well, because AAA has higher budget, higher quality assurance, higher team productivity, higher, well, a lot. But that doesn't mean that indie games are better than AAA games, at least some of them, and vice versa. So, tonight, I am here with some of my friends to give out 3 awards to find out which one of them, indie, AAA, or in between, is truly Game of the Year 2023. At least in my opinion, because, this is my show and my channel.
Alright, some house rules before we get to the juicy part. We are giving away 3 awards this year. Best Game 2023, Best Game None 2023, basically games I played or beaten this year that came out before 2023, and finally, Best Overall Game 2023, where I put every game I played or beaten on 2023.
Just to clarify, I put beaten as well because there's so many projects I juggle at times that when editing, for example, for this kind of videos, I prioritize on, making sure this video comes on time rather than playing any other games. So I hope you understand.
And just to make things spicy, all awards will be given to different games. No early access games because things might get messy in the long haul. With that said, any games that came out of the early access this year will be counted. No fan games because of the whole legality reasons, and well, I don't want to deal with a certain game company who wants to set me as an example.
You know which one. And obviously, I haven't played all the games that came out last year because, well, this is more of a hobby than a job, first of all, for now. And second of all, even if I did play all the games, just look at the length of the video. It's ridiculously long already. So for now, I'm going to be talking about games that have impacted me last year. Give or take some, but let's just put that as a house rule as well. And finally, to the developers who have going to win this award, please, if you want it, contact me and I'll see what we can do and we'll try to communicate where I can send you, yada yada yada. Don't expect too much out of it, to be honest, because I just bought them for $10 each in a thrift store. But if you want it, I'm happily willing to give it to you. I'm gonna pause this because, God, this is annoying. You probably can't hear it, but it's like all the time.
With that said, let's start off this award show with the very first Game of the Year potential that came out of nowhere in the very first month. Hi-Fi Rush is an action-packed rhythm game. And yes, this is not anything new per se. Grip Neko Dancer, Pistol Whip, and Soundfall are some of the examples that has already done this before. But what makes this game so special are, well, everything. The presentation of this game is so poppy. No, seriously, everything in this game is on beat. The machine moving is on beat, the combos you do is on beat, everything is on beat. And
oh God, does that mean the music has to be on beat as well for this editing? Give the editing me some slack. This is gonna be a pain.
The music in this game is so amazing as well. I played the game both in streamer mode, which removes all the copyrighted songs. This is more so for streamers and or content creators, and normal mode. And I must say, I love the both version of it. just the vibe it gives is so smooth, so up-pumping, so rock star that you can't wait to kick some ass with your metal guitar. And you kick some ass. The combos in this game is pretty fast. There isn't walls of combos, and you do need to buy them via SOP, but you don't really need too much combos. What I mean is, there is enough for you to change the fighting style every so often. It's not too many to overload you on what combos you have to do. And while one might argue that the more combos are better, one, have you played Tekken 7? And two, this game is about booping to the beat and kicking ass. And I think too much would be, well, too much.
It is just enough that the game is not overwhelming, but just enough that you have fun playing the game. And it just endorses you to try different combos each and every time, because if you try the same combo over and over, you get a score debuff. And trust me, I'm not competitive, but something inside me being like, I need to get better score, I need to get better score, I need to get better score. And it is so fun to get better score. Yes, the game looks cartoonish at times, actually all the time, but I think the vibe the game was going for, I think that just hits right. It's supposed to be simple, it's supposed to be cartoonish, and with a lot of cool reference, I think it fits the vibe very, very well.
I do have some complaints though. The story is fine, it's just a simple funny story of taking down a leader corporation, yada yada yada. My big complaint is, well, the main character, Chai. At the beginning he's such an arrogant prick. Like he's acting all stereotypical rock stars act, and he does get better in the story because healing and teamwork and all that, but man, it's a struggle at the beginning to know that you're playing this guy. The second thing, and I don't really know why they did this, but you can't repeat levels until you beat the game for the first time. There was a time where I failed the first stage of a chapter and I wanted to repeat the level, so that I can get a better grade at the end of the stage. But you can't even do that. So now I am stuck in a playthrough where I messed up twice at the beginning and will be punished for downgrading my grade. And that just rubs me in the wrong way. I mean, I technically get why they did it, but it's not worth it. At the very least, give us an option to repeat the level, because sometimes you just had a bad time and you want to have a second chance to prove you are better than that. But you can only do that after the post game
And finally, you unlock cosmetics after beating the game. Yeah.
I think cosmetics should just be unlocked very early in the game, because the vibe to change whatever you want makes it so much sense during the game. But after beating it, yeah, but no. I mean, besides the side characters having limited costumes, it would be so cool to see Chai rocking with new clothes as we progress the game. I don't know. Might just be me, but I think this was a huge miss. With that said, Hi-Fi Rush is an amazing game. The beeps, the boops, the kicking ass that came out of nowhere, and I loved the moment I vibed with it. I highly recommend playing the game because at the end of it, it is so fun.
It looks like one of our guests is ready to present their game of the year. So, I would like you all to welcome the co-host of the Bad Elephant game, Thom, aka Hell Director.
2023 was an incredible year for gaming, no doubt. The amount of big budget, highly reviewed releases set a new benchmark for the gaming industry. And yet, despite all of the acclaim and accomplishments, we were still scorched by AAA titles that arrived with massive day one patches, embarrassing glitches, huge install sizes, and very few innovations despite big graphical upgrades. And yet one game, the most important video game release of 2023, managed to avoid all of these ugly video game industry trends, but also delivered an exhilarating adventure that wowed everyone, all on an underpowered 7-year-old console. It's Tears of the Kingdom, baby. Nintendo took Breath of the Wild, the ultimate adventure simulator, and stuffed it full of even more adventure. My first playthrough ended around the 140-hour mark, and I was only at like 55% complete. That's a baffling number to me, because I feel like I've had 3 games worth of experiences. There's so much to explore, traverse, build, solve, fight, and accomplish, and the freedom to which you can do any of it is astounding. The fact that this game has so many systems and mechanics that flow so smoothly and don't fall apart at the seams the way AAA games on more advanced consoles do is the ultimate pushback to the entire industry model. Developers across the industry have noted how shockingly well built this game is, indicating we may see another era of game makers chasing the trends that Zelda has set. Raiding monster forts, solving mysteries for a newspaper, filling the compendium, discovering wells, exploring caves for equipment or treasure, house building, vehicle racing, overworld bosses, character side quests that range from recruiting a folk band to manipulating a local election, the depths, the skies, the temples, the story, the shrines. There's so much high quality game in this game. If you wish that Breath of the Wild had a more dynamic story, Tears of the Kingdom gives it to you in spades. And yet a lot of the game remains open-ended, from the shrines to the traversal methods. There are clear-cut solutions, or ways you can use lateral thinking to make your own path. It's a clever game that never stops you if you outsmart it. It just rewards you and lets you continue. It's so thrilling, and it builds to one of the best finales in the Zelda franchise. A final gauntlet that mirrors and pays off the entire journey, taking you from the depths to the heavens in a magnificent final clash. And let's not forget the incredible building suite that has been pumped into this game, giving you possibilities to create weapons, vehicles, means of traversal, or just fun, goofy contraptions to mess with the dynamic world. The most organic world in gaming history now can be messed with and experienced in a whole new way. If you're into playing with Legos, if you're a fan of Minecraft, this is a game that lets you tinker and explore and just go all out with your creativity, and yet it doesn't interfere with the narrative. Some dungeons require a little bit of intuitive building, but it's never a pushback to your progress. It's a fun tool in your arsenal to go through this adventure as you see fit. There's a strong emotion in coming back to something in real life and seeing the changes. Revisiting the home you grew up in, or going to the demolished remains of your first school. This map of Hyrule is arguably one of the best open worlds that gaming has ever seen, and Tears of the Kingdom makes it that much more endearing by focusing on the passage of time in Link's world. From its characters to its locales, there's a lot to love in Tears of the Kingdom, whether you're here for the first time or coming back to see what's new. This is a pure feat of gaming, a kingdom of possibility.
Thank you, Thom, for presenting your Game of the Year. Tears of the Kingdom went beyond anyone's expectation, skyrocketed, and went up of the sky to reach that Game of the Year award. But did it get it? Is there anyone who can reach even higher? Well, maybe not to the sky, but what if down, down, down by the river?
Spoiler alert, I played Dungeons and Dragons 5e, so it's not a surprise that I actually like this game. With so much character customization, sometimes I'm stuck there for hours, to NPCs I talk with, to interact, to interesting storytelling. Yeah, it's no wonder it got Game of the Year for the Game Awards 2023.
and why a lot of developers are really salty because they actually had to make a good game. We really need to invest in this gamer salt with a hint of vinegar. No, never mind. Oh God, too salty. Oh.
Funny enough, before I played this game, I didn't think I would enjoy it as much. I mean, I tried playing Divinity Original 2 before, and it just didn't click with me. But with a more familiar system to go with, interesting story to explore, and not being stuck in the prison for God knows how long, that might have been the main reason why I stopped playing Divinity Original 2. Might. This game is fun. Not to mention all the cool, sneaky, and stupid things this game allows. Some even devs knew we would do them.
No comment.
The game pretty much allows you to do limitless things with limited resources. The best way I can explain is you can't break the game, but you can so damn try to. The game even encourages you to try. Not to mention a lot of hot characters like him or her or... Oh, no.
You're not breaking the game, you're breaking people's sanity. Kalak is still the best. That's right! I said it! Your Santa heart is getting shadowed!
The music in this game is beautiful. When you need tension, you get tension. When you're relaxing, you get relaxing. There was a time where you were supposed to help a bard write her song. If you do so, you will get this performance, and just listening to it feels rewarding. With that said, if I want to be a little nitpicky about this game, other than the examples I gave, there wasn't any time while I wanted to just stand and listen to the music. Yeah, I know, there's a lot of things to do in so little time, but with games like Minecraft, Genshin Impact, or Final Fantasy XIV, you sometimes just want to sit down and read. You don't really get that chance in Baldur's Gate 3. Maybe because of the story plot of a ticking bomb in your head, or because the gameplay is top-down rather than third-person. But there's so many good spots to relax, but you can't relax. It might just be me, or might not, but at least for me, it was a missed opportunity. There's also some things that could be better executed as well, like the UI could be better, especially when you have a lot of abilities. I think getting used to the system can be daunting for beginners, which, honestly speaking, don't know how they can approach not only for beginners, but for people who haven't played Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition or any role-playing tabletop games. I can see the confusion of what the hell is going on time to time.
And I can't believe I'm going to be saying this, all your teammates are so easily romanceable.
No, trust me, it's harder to make no one like you romantically than it is. In fact, you will accidentally stumble into one without even knowing. I wish real life would have been as easy as that. At the end of the day, it's a fun game with limitless way of progressing the story. Just don't only stay at the character creation screen. You will need to make another one after that.
Again, no comment. We have talked about massive games made by massive teams. So let's shift gears and talk about smaller teams, smaller folks, but still big, ideal games. Indies.
There has been so many good indie games throughout history, and this year is no exception. Pizza Tao, a game where you need to run, collect ingredients, keep your combos, and aim for the perfect rank. Highly recommended. 20 minutes till dawn. Well, you need to kill demons and survive for 20 minutes with nothing but your guns and your cool abilities. Also, I recommend it. But if you ask anyone what game they think might be the game of the year, people might pin to this one. Sea of Stars is an indie turn-based RPG game. It took an inspiration from Chrono Triggers, and it shows. The art style, the music, the combat feels inspired. But that is not necessarily a bad thing. The game started with promising story. The combat was fun to strategize what to do next. Party limit isn't really a thing, and honestly, I can see why this game could have been Game of the Year. Keyword could have been. It hurts to say this, especially since in the beginning the game looked so promising. But then the end game happened. I won't spoil much, but there is 3 things you must understand about this. 1, you can tell that the devs kinda rushed to the end in the production. The story has so much details and swings and lows, and suddenly it just didn't. It was pretty much felt like, oh, this exists. Next, it got rushed so hard at the end that when I entered the final boss area, I just needed to do a double take because how quickly we just progressed there.
To give you context, you beat a boss and then immediately you can go to the final boss area. Oh, okay. Which leads me to the second point. This game doesn't answer all your questions. There's like, for example, important characters that has some lore behind it, that has some past, and you just never get those answered. And some of them is like, oh, hi, I'm an important character. Bye. And one of the characters do that. There was this moment where I really thought that some of these important questions will be answered. Well, I guess not. And that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Which leads me to the third point. In this game, there's normal and true ending. Wait a minute. That isn't a bad thing. Okay, it takes some time to get into the true ending. It can't be that bad. 7 to 10 hours?
To clarify my outburst, in order to get the true ending of this game, you need to first get the normal ending, and then it takes 7 to 10 hours to get the true ending. See these purple rocks? These rocks get activated when you finish side quests and the normal ending. And some of them make sense. Getting better gears for your characters to be powerful, or maybe doing trials to be considered a champion. But then you have to, and I can't believe I'm saying this, get all the rainbow conch. All 60 of them. That's 60. What were they thinking when asking us to do that? For context, the rainbow item is hidden all over the world, and you need to find them all and trade them to get special items. The final item you need to get is one that you require for the true ending, aka activating the purple stones. It took me hours to get them all, and I was using a walkthrough just to find every one of them because God knows it would take me forever to do it blind. And don't forget, you can't get them all at once without certain abilities, so backtracking is a thing. And yes, you do get a treasure parrot along the grind, which helps you find the missing rainbows. But also, every other items you missed one at a time and not all at once. And no, there is no options that you can select to say, oh, I only want you to find the rainbow item. So one at a time you say, oh, there's a treasure here. No, there's a rainbow there. This parrot is more useless than you are debating right now whether you want to cook or have a takeout delivered to you.
It's the latter, you lazy bumps. Yes, I would like to have it with pepperoni, please.
The only reason why they did this is to drag out the gameplay time. I can't see any other way why they had the audacity to make us suffer through mandatory treasure hunting. If it was optional, then I would have understood the grind for the completion's sake. But mandatory? You just made a game a chore, and that is not fun. I want to say this game is amazing. This game is fun and grand, and this game is worth your time. But with the end game being so horribly executed and the beginning being the best part of the game, I genuinely cannot recommend this. A disappointing grind, lack of story, and an empty void in my heart. You are best if you're playing something else. Trust me, it hurts to say that.
I don't know how to smoothly transition from this because, yeah. So instead, let's just shift gears one more time to talk about non-2023 games. And there was a lot I played last year as well. But let's start off with an indie game that was a roller coaster.
I only made a video about Omori and I don't want to spoil much about the gameplay, so I'll keep this short. Omori has a great storytelling element that in the end, I understand why it is called a masterpiece. With that said, it is kinda a slow burner, how it reveals one thing at a time, and sometimes the gameplay can get stale because you just want to get into the story but you're being dragged. But honestly, other than that, the game is pretty solid. It's scary, immersive, and a wonderful storytelling. It still has a decent gameplay, and the ending still lingers in my mind till this day. Let's do another quick one. Again, already talked about it, so let's keep it short. Grace is such a beautiful artistic game, with music literally feeling like my soul was being dragged into the game. The game art that any frame could be considered a wallpaper, and gameplay being, well, simple. Don't expect too much of a gameplay as it is a simple platformer with some puzzle solving elements. The game is more about taking your time, exploring the world, and enjoying every bit of it. I really recommend playing this game as, well, it is really good. Okay, you know what? Let's do a quick lighting round, otherwise this will take a while. Tetris Effect Connected. Honestly, this game is so fun. The experience of visual and audio being connected feels immersive and artistic, and VR is also fun with it. I love it. Resident 5 and 6. Co-op was fun and honestly enjoyed playing it with my friend. I did have some complaints, few experiences in this video, but for now, let's just say 5 has decent story, 6 not so much. Tekken 7. God, I suck at this game, but playing with friends was fun. Panda and Kumi is the best character, don't add me. Guilty Gear Strive. I'm actually decent in this one. I missed the ultimate finisher from XRD, but this game still rocks and the music is just cherry in the top. My main is Bridget, I'm sorry, Bullet. Guacamelee, I love playing the Metroidvania Mexican wrestler game. Enough said, play it. Melty Blood, type Lumia. Damn, I didn't think I would love this fighting game, and honestly, it's probably my go-to fighting games with Guilty Gear Strive. And I honestly don't know the lore of Fate. I just love playing it, and I recommend getting into it if you like fighting games with anime styles. Though the online matchmaking is pretty low, there is still some people playing around. Richie said no. 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 Super Hot VR. Yes, I have a VR console. I love it. My only complaint is that sometimes repeating the same level over and over can get a bit annoying, especially when the checkpoint could be implemented at times. But I digress. Until you fun sword swinging game. It takes a lot of stamina to play even one, but honestly, it's a good excuse to exercise. I do wish there was a quick retry button though. Back for Blood? No, so disappointing. Mr. Satui, it's a game in the same world as Requiem. Honestly, this is so wholesome and soft, so if you want to have a quick snack game, this is my recommendation. Silver Still, I love the parkour gun shooting game. I do wish there were some things where I explain more here in the backlog activated video, but honestly it's just nitpicking. Just play this game, more people should be talking about this. Later Company, I am a big wuss, but playing with friends has been a blast. Having Fear of Darkness is not fun though. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I still haven't beaten the game, but so far I'm liking it. I will definitely make its own video when I can. It's JRPG, man. Inscription, god that's a game. Only made a video about it, so all I'll say is play blind without watching or reading anything about it. Trust me, it's better that way. And finally, Titan Souls, a Dark Souls-like game where you and your opponent only has one hit point. First one to kill wins. It's challenging but immersive and exerting when you outplay your opponents. Respawning and finding new boss locations can be a tad annoying at times, especially if you want to 100% the game, but I still recommend playing the game.
Woo! That's a lot of non-2023 games. And trust me, I haven't listed them all either. But for the sake of time, let's talk about one more non-2023 game. And unlike the franchise, we're gonna be taking this a bit slower.
Truth be told, this is my first 3D Sonic games after such a long time. I think the last one I ever played was Sonic Generation, so I know I missed a lot of good, mostly bad, 3D Sonic games when hopping into this one. And, well, needless to say, I liked the game. I was a bit skeptic about Sonic in an open world, mainly because a lot of games were jumping into the whole open world hype threads, and, well, I don't really like open world genres. I just don't like how most of the maps are, well, empty, and then all the other things you want to do is, well, bragging rights. With that said, Sonic Frontiers open world is fine. There is still that feeling of emptiness here and there, but honestly speaking, not as much compared to other games I have played. The whole loop-de-loop, parkour and speed makes the game a bit better. The game is divided into 3 sections: open world, level simulations, and boss fights. Level simulation is just that, a bubble that is basically your typical 3D Sonic game. Run fast, get Firebird coins, S-rank it, you get the gist. The levels are pretty fun. I do wish some were more, lack of a better word, railroady, because sometimes I just fall to the void because I tilt my controller a bit to the left, but honestly it's not the end of the world, and I can see some people prefer this over my suggestion. Getting fast time in some levels are really difficult, sometimes maybe a bit tilting, but luckily you can repeat the levels without losing your life, unlike in Sonic Generation. So not much to complain there. Just keep in mind some may take you an hour or two, or a lot. Boss fight mode is pretty fun as well. You just need to beat the boss before you run out of rings, because you can only beat the boss via Super Sonic. Just practice getting better and better at perfect parries because the game demands it. Actually, you need to be really good at it. The perfect parry frames is so ridiculously low that sometimes when I know I got it, the game pretty much said, nah, making you waste 30 seconds to get them into the pose where you can hit them again. It's annoying, but not the end of the world. So frustrating though. And finally, the open world. Here you try to get resources in order to progress, whether that's key from mini bosses to get access to level simulations, getting tokens to interact with your trapped friends, and finally unlocking all the Chaos Emeralds to fight the final boss. Best way to say it is you will get lost a lot. Sometimes you just do the loop the same parkour because you thought you didn't do it before and you already did. Why is that a problem? Well, remember the tokens to interact with the other characters? Yeah, that's mandatory if you want to progress the game, which isn't bad, but it can get that annoying when you need to progress the story and you don't know where else to look for it at times. There's also the whole upgrading Sonic to able to do more damage, have better defense, able to collect more rings, and speed. If you can, prioritize speed over rings at the beginning. Rings can be collected easily by doing well, and having lower max capacity, you will unlock, faster Sonic basically. You run faster, and defense and attacks are basically their own upgrade bubbles that you can mess around how you want. Overall, this game is good. There are some things that could have been implemented a lot better, but honestly, for what we got, it's a fun game. Whether I recommend it or not, that's up to you. It takes a while to get used to the game for sure, but once you go, sometimes you can just relax and play while you have something else playing in the second monitor. It's a game where, unless you need to do something epic, it's honestly just a relaxing grind where you run, collect, and just have fun.
Woo! We have talked about a lot of games already in this award show, and we're not even halfway done. But for now, I think it's time to present one award. I have played a lot of non-2023 games last year, and honestly, picking one of them was not an easy choice. But unfortunately, only one of them gets the award. And after a lot of thinking, I think I made my choice. So, the best game of the year, non-2023, goes to a game that made me feel things.
There were so many non-2023 games I played. Some did peak when I didn't expect them to. The reason Omori wins this award is the ending. Usually endings in video games made me think about it for hours, days even. Omori, I'm still thinking about it. The lingering feeling that you have done your job and it's up to them to write their own story. You can just hope for the best. Omori executed their story piece by piece, masterly, only to bring the biggest one at the end. And honestly, I love it.
Congratulations to Omocat, creator of Omori, for winning this award. Like I said before, if you want to get this award, please contact me and I'll see what I can do from there. But for now, congratulations, you absolutely deserve it. I'm gonna put this in the ground because I'm the only one here. Anywho, I think it's time to present another guest who wants to talk about their game of the year. So, please welcome my co-host in Backlogs Activated and a guy who loves being a tiny astronaut, Pat Nat.
Hey everybody, this is Pat Nat in a suit, and today I'm talking about my 2023 Game of the Year, which of course is Pikmin 4. Now you have to understand that there hasn't been a new mainline Pikmin game for 10 years before Pikmin 4 came out. The reason this is important is because Pikmin is kind of known for creating its own genre to the point where there's not really any Pikmin comparison out there. So 10 years of no Pikmin game is 10 years of no Pikmin genre. Its biggest strength is also one of its biggest weaknesses in terms of building its player base, because how can someone who loves Pikmin explain to a new player what it's all about when there's no comparisons that can be made to other games? Imagine a genre that combines real-time strategizing, army management, boss battling, treasure hunting, resource building, and other aspects that could easily make up their own game. If you hear all this, you're probably thinking that sounds like an absolute mess. But Pikmin somehow blends all of these aspects together with essentially no hassle. And the crazy thing is that each Pikmin title manages to uphold this crazy expectation and still find a way to make itself unique from other entries in the series. And this goes for Pikmin 1 through Pikmin 4. Pikmin Bloom and Pikmin Go, neither of those games actually exist. Now, not only does Pikmin juggle genres effortlessly, but it also blends together emotions extremely well. There's times where you feel absolutely relaxed, absolutely scared, absolutely anxiety-driven, absolutely mad with power. This game's got it all. And this versatile tonality is mostly emphasized through the relationship of both music and beautiful art direction within the scenery. Everything is so in sync that even the Pikmin themselves sing along to the soundtrack sometimes. This range of emotion you feel also runs parallel with the level of difficulty that's found in Pikmin, because this game isn't exclusively hard or exclusively easy. It's a range of difficulty through the process of teaching new players how to play the game. This novelty is pretty scarce in other games these days, and what gives Pikmin the advantage is that it has to teach a new player base seemingly every entry. With a 10-year gap from Pikmin 3, there's bound to be another wave of kids that simply need to be introduced to the series, and Pikmin traditionally does a pretty good job at that. I will say the tutorials feel a little bit long in most Pikmin games, but it might be a necessary evil just given how complex the game can actually be. This leads me to my next point, which is that Pikmin's complexity allows for a really high skill ceiling. Every Pikmin thrown, you're slowly improving your craft and ultimately optimizing your play, to the point where once you're at the end of the game, you kind of want to restart just to see how quickly you can redo the things that took you oh so long before. Now, I've mostly talked about things that are within every Pikmin game, and it's no different for Pikmin 4, but I would like to talk about some exclusive aspects about this particular entry. Pikmin 4 introduces Oatchi. Oatchi is great. He's cute on the outside, and on the inside, he's the essential key to extreme Pikmin optimization. What more could you want? While switching characters to multitask is nothing new in the Pikmin series, having two characters that are fundamentally different from each other allow for much more avenues of puzzle solving. Oh, by the way, puzzle solving. Add that to the genre list. Pikmin 4 also introduces more collectibles that go beyond just the treasures. This includes a currency that you can use to build specific structures, or you can spend it in the item shop to better yourself in terms of gear. There's also the introduction to Farleks, which increase the capacity of Pikmin you can have out at a time. Not only is this a nice balancing mechanic, but it's also a great incentive to further explore worlds. Speaking of worlds, there are a lot of them, and they're just fleshed out enough to not feel intimidating. But the surface of the worlds is only, well, the surface, because the caves is where things get really nitty-gritty. Bringing back cave expeditions from Pikmin 2 might be the happiest I've been since... well, no, actually, it's the happiest I've been. While I do feel like the stakes of the caves are a little bit lower in this game than that of Pikmin 2, the game makes up for it by using the caves to create pretty challenging time trials. And having those mixed with the various Dandori challenges, as well as a super secret endgame mode that I dare not spoil here, makes for an extremely rich campaign. But lastly, and certainly not leastly, Pikmin 4 continues the series' tradition of having an extremely fun and unique multiplayer mode, that being Dandori battles. It boggles my mind that every Pikmin multiplayer mode continues to be distinct from each other, while also providing the same level of thrill that I've been experiencing since I was a kid. In fact, the Pikmin-style multiplayer is so good that they included parts of it in the campaign itself this time, as well as letting you play Dandori battles with a CPU. And I could not be more satisfied. Actually, tell a lie, there's just a couple of dissatisfactions I have with this game. One is that the quality of life adjustments in this game compared to previous ones arguably go a little bit too far. The biggest example of this is the auto lock-on feature. While I do understand that this helps new players play the game, it gets kind of annoying when you're throwing Pikmin at something you really don't want to be throwing Pikmin at. The second biggest annoyance are the previously mentioned tutorial screens. I think the simplest fix to this would have been to add a veteran mode that disables auto-locking as well as skips tutorials automatically so that those who just want to get to the skill ceiling part of the game can get there quicker. I also really miss the more branded treasures you'd find in Pikmin 2, such as a Jeff Peanut Butter lid or a 7-Up bottle cap. While the treasures in Pikmin 4 are cool, without the non-Nintendo brands, they start to feel a little generic. And lastly, they really should not have limited your Pikmin selection to only 3 types. It kinda boggles my mind, I can't find a good reason for why they did this. But all in all, Pikmin 4 is a fantastic title and I highly recommend you try it out if you've not tried a Pikmin game before. And it absolutely warrants a Game of the Year review from myself as well as you guys, so do it. Go ahead and do it. Give it a Game of the Year review. It's yours now. It's your Game of the Year. Take it. Eat it. Bop it.
Thank you, Pat, for presenting your Game of the Year. Pikmin is pretty scary and adventurous to find more items and lores and more mysteries to solve. And if Pikmin can do it, there's another game that does it as well, but with more amplified horror.
I did talk a bit about it in my other video, but given the time now, I think I can go a bit more details than what I portrayed before. Resident Evil 4 is my third Resident Evil game, and my first solo campaign game. And I can see why people like this franchise. With the story making you question what is happening here, to gameplay being straightforward, kill the zombies and get the hell out of this place. No mind-blowing concept here, but it doesn't have to be. And honestly, I am fine with the game being so. Sometimes you just want to kill some zombies. There are some, shall we say, fiction in this game, like how apparently virus can make zombies have telepathic abilities, or well, needless action movements. But honestly, I don't really mind the game doing so. Just letting you know that this game, reality is a bit loose at times. I am at the very least glad there isn't no jump scares. At least I didn't felt any as I was playing. So that was already a big plus on my end. And well, this is more so a me thing, but there is a backtracking in the game. However, it's only if you want 100% the game, which I am okay with it. It's not something I would like to have it, but as long as it's optional and not mandatory, then I don't have any right to complain about it if you want to do it or not. If I did actually have complaints with this game, it would be Ashley's AI and obtaining ammos. Ashley's AI is, well, not the brightest. There were times where Ashley's in my game where she would just run towards the enemy and get kidnapped. Or worse, when I was trying to shoot someone with my sniper rifle, she just appears out of nowhere and gets shot from crossfire.
You know what, lore-wise, I can finally see why Ashley got kidnapped in the first place.
And then comes ammo. See, you have limited ammos for your gun by destroying crates, killing zombies, and other means. You can get new ammos back for specific guns, and the gun is calculated so that when you're running low on ammo, they will make sure you get extras ASAP. But man, are they bad at maths. I literally had 1-2 chapters in a row with so little ammos because the game just refused to give me. So I had to play with really limited resources at situations, which is challenging of its own, but come on. You already threw some reality into the trash. And The ammo you just couldn't?
In the end, I can see why Resident Evil 4 is considered Game of the Year potential. While there is some flaws in the game and nothing is so mind-blowing about it, it did a lot of things masterfully. It's not a masterpiece, but the game is so good, it doesn't need to be. It just is so good that it's Game of the Year potential. And sometimes good is good. And sometimes badass is badass.
SANABI is such an amazing game. The pixel animation, to music, to storytelling, to gameplay. It is an amazing indie game that honestly a must play in my opinion. SANABI starts with the wholesome moment that goes wrong because someone named, SANABI ruined your peaceful life. So you, the high ex-military rank, goes back and try to finish what they started. But things aren't making sense. The town you are supposed to go, all the people just disappeared. And now, slowly but slowly, you're trying to figure out what the hell happened here. This is a story of revenge and mystery. Who is SANABI? What choice you will make? And who do you want to be? I can't really explain much because spoilers, and honestly, you need to experience the story yourself. Just know this: everything is connected. There's a lot of subtleties they show, not tell. And then when everything is connected, you won't know how to react. I also love the gameplay so much. The game is pretty much hook and release, but the way it feels is so snappy and badass. Hook the ceiling and boost to be fast. There's an enemy, kill them by grabbing to them for an extra jump to be in the next platform. Need time to concentrate? Get into the zone and execute. This is a speedrunning heaven, even if you are not a speedrunner. You feel like you can be faster, smoother, fancier, stronger. You just want to be the best grappler in the world. You just want to prove everyone why you are the ex-military best grappler. It is so immersive that after I finished the game, I played again in legendary difficulty, aka only one hit before you need to restart from the last checkpoint. And trust me, it ain't easy.
It was so fun that I didn't do anything but play the game for 2-3 days. Just stayed in the middle of the night. Heck, I stayed awake till 5 a.m. because I just wanted to play more and more and more. And I had so much fun that I got hooked. Pun unintended. But you know what? We'll make it intended because grappling hooks are cool, yo!
And the presentation. God, the presentation is stunning. The pixel art looks so beautiful. The characters look so animated, and when you're swinging around, you can feel the passion behind each swing. If I do need to be nitpicky about something, it would probably be the level design. Some of the level design feels the same, and while you can say it's not one-to-one, you have to admit that traveling from one point to another can get blurry as things start to feel, the same. And while I think the music is amazing, it's still not my cup of tea. Personal preference. Still, SANABI is amazing and a wonderful game.
A lot of people were comparing this to Katana Zero, and while I can see the similarities at it, I kinda have to disagree. So, they both are amazing stories with amazing pixel game, and they're both amazing, but there are differences. To say it in non-spoiler way, Katana Zero, you start in a one single line, but you are all over the place that you're trying to stay and force yourself to stay in that one single line. Whereas SANABI, you are in one single line and you're starting to branch out. You need to branch out just to solve the mystery of this whole thing. And speaking of mystery, I think it's time that we introduce our final guests who want to talk about their Game of the Year. So please welcome a friend of mine who dedicated their whole channel to an anime football game, Inazuma 11, Tale of the Toaster.
Yo ho ho, my name is Tale of the Toaster. Know my good buddy WeirdoMaxim through a lot of projects in the past, including Inazuma 11 football-y things, but here, for the Game of the Year celebrations, I want to talk about something that doesn't get brought up a lot in Game of the Year discussions, but for me, it was a no contest absolute favourite of the year. My game that I enjoyed the most in 2023 was Master Detective Archives Rain Code. Known for a lot of its lifespan as just Project Raincode. This was a Nintendo Switch exclusive, but it was the newest work of Kodaka, most known as the director of Danganronpa. And you could work that out just by looking at it. The trailers, the music, character design, everything about this screams Danganronpa, and you would honestly think that the game would have the same title, but ultimately it deserves to be its own thing because of what I think is the same thing that makes it the best Game of the Year, because Kodaka's a really talented director for making plot twists and using established formats to get you invested in things a lot more quickly than a lot of series would be able to do. Raincode can do that with things such as all of its characters having unique talents as detectives instead of a typical talent that would get them invited to a Danganronpa school setting, for instance. So this time, in the line of detective work, everyone's got their own unique abilities that makes them exemplary as a detective, and it just gets you interested straight away. But it also breaks free of a lot of the shackles that had maybe been holding him back as a writer for such a long time. Instead of locking everyone into a certain place until there's nobody left, this time we've actually got a free world to explore, and it does a lot with that. It's a very unique setting where it's raining 100% of the time, but you're not forced to stay there or anything. You can go wherever you like, but people have adapted to live in this world that's consistently raining and a little bit crime ridden and controlled as well by the Amaterasu Corporation. But it makes for a fantastic just a piece of world building to know that you're not tied to there, and every new chapter will take place somewhere else, and you'll still have crimes to get to the bottom of. You are a detective after all, but you're not stuck with the same people all the way through the game, and you can truly just come up with an original plot for each new chapter. But the gameplay is not just there from Danganronpa, but really enhanced upon. Again, having a 3D world to explore is what kind of elevates this to a point of actually being able to compete with other games in a Game of the Year type competition instead of just being compared directly to its predecessors. But the storytelling in this is kind of unlike any that I've experienced from any game at this point. It really took me down some paths that I didn't expect it to, and it's just one that's going to stay in my mind forever. Ultimately though, this is a game where I can say if you're a fan of the Danganronpa series, there is no excuse not to play it. It is so good. It takes what you're familiar with and expands on it so well. But even if you're not a fan of that series, this is a great entry point instead of trying to jump into a series that's been memed upon over years past and sets itself up as part of a big series. This is something that exists as a standalone game, and a really bloody good one. So it absolutely goes down as my favourite game of the year, and I really recommend Master Detective Archives Rain Code. So thank you for listening. I've been Taylor the Toaster. The suit is under the coat, obviously, and stay tuned for more awards.
Thank you, Isaac. Raincode is such an amazing example that shows that just because some games have same styles doesn't mean they have to be exactly the same thing, and they both can still be amazing. I mean, Raincode is not the only example. There's a lot of other games that took heavy inspiration from other franchises and try to make it their own. And my game, my favorite franchise, the Ace Attorney, is no exception.
Darian Cuthbert, listen, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing their name properly, okay? I'm trying my best. Attorney of the Arcade was heavily inspired by Phoenix Wright franchise. This is no surprise. The two modes, investigation and trial mode, the way the defense and prosecutor are positioned, the presenting evidence, you get the idea. But what makes this game its own being is the setting it's being set in. As the title might suggest, this is a fantasy game where magic and mystic creatures does exist. There are some that is crossed from our world too, like how factories are set up and how, say, books are more common to be presented. But the game is still in a medieval-like era, which makes sense. Magic is so convenient that how we modernize in science will be different with magic. But the mindset can also be different as well. For example, classism. This game centers around nobles and how they think little of, well, lower ranks, to the point some just can get away with it because we are better than you, while those who are unfortunate gets heavily punished. This is a story of classism fighting for the truth, and not everything is sunshine and rainbows. And well, the story is pretty good when you reach the final two case. Oh, all the anime fans is gonna riled up here. This game is mid.
Nobody move, otherwise I'll make sure to lower the selling quality of this manga.
The music is pretty good, which is no surprise because one of the musicians is Insane of the Rain. Insane in the Rain. You can't even get one of your favorite musicians' name correctly, me? Continue. And when that corner team hits, you can feel the oomph. But then a lot of these musics are just okay. It's nothing to boast about, and it doesn't give me the vibe of gotcha or oh no feeling as much as, well, the audience want to feel. Heck, some of the music I didn't like at the beginning, like the cross-examination theme. It slowly grew on me later in the game, but it could have been better. And the story. Other than the last two cases, it just felt like I was in an autopilot. Oh, okay, this happened. Now I need to do this. But then that happened. It has its charm, but if you compare it to the last two cases, it just felt like the story was just there. And then finally, the gameplay. The gameplay was fun, don't get me wrong, but it had so much problems that it took a while to get used to it. For example, indication in gaming is very important. one of which to represent that an action was taken and or given. So you would think that when you are trying to present exact evidence to the code, you would have sound effects and graphics to know that you are about to select, right? Well, the game actually does have it, but it doesn't have that snap feeling you would want. Like, you would need a second or two just to know you selected the right evidence, not because of your own sake and you're doing whole calculations and finalizing yourself, but because the sound effects and the visual effects indicating that you are going to present that evidence is, well, weak. But honestly, it doesn't even matter because this game has no penalty system. No, I'm not joking. Technically, you do have one in investigation mode, but when you're in trials, yeah, none. So, by removing the system that punishes you for being wrong, instead it just encourages you to just spam evidence until you get the right answer over and over and over again. Because why wouldn't you? There is no reward for being right other than progressing the story now. But then there's the vibe that when you're presenting something, you have that spark, you hit that objection! Truth be told, I like it. It's not the one I prefer, but it is the punch that makes you feel like, gotcha. Thing is, that is the only indication. There is no hold it when you press for more or take that when you're providing more evidence.
And the worst thing is that when you're fighting, when you want that thing other than justice, when you finally present the last evidence, you don't get rewarded. There is no witness breakdown in this game.
It's so disappointing, and the part of me wants to just walk away and say it's a disappointment. But then the final 2 cases happen where the story actually went somewhere and made me hooked into it, and actually made the game so much fun. We had disappointment, but then we had interesting and fun. Combine them together and, well, mid is the best word I could use. This game had so much going for it and was so close to show that anyone could take the Ace Attorney concept and make it their own. But for some reason, the quality became lower to lower to lower until it spiked in the end. It does make me think that the game started with the last 2 cases in mind and they had no idea how to make a start.
If the developer is ever watching this video, I know you're making a sequel to this game because you made a teaser about it and everything at the end of the first game and yada yada yada. Please, and I'm saying this genuinely, steal more. You already stole the whole cross-examination, the investigation, the trial, the objection, the presenting. You stole a lot of things and made it your own. So you can steal even more. Why stop there? You can steal the whole, take that, hold it. You can steal the music. You can steal how to present. You can steal the witness breakdown. You can steal more because I know you can make it your own thing. Please, just steal more and make it your own because I genuinely think you can make an even better game than what you have shown in this.
As for the story, I don't know. I am not a story writer. Just somebody who loves seeing the story unfold. But give us more of the last 2 cases.
And this is more of a me thing than anything else by this point, but why did you change the main characters? How do I say this without spoiling it? Presented. I mean, yes, the ending is still amazing, you do you, and I'm just being a boohoo complainer by this point, but
Safe to say, this game could have been better, way better. But from what I got, it was still fun. Not as much as I wanted or expected, but it was something I am glad to play. And at the very least, I am glad people are trying to make this concept into their own. And that is an achievement not to scoff at.
I'll be honest, I don't know how to transition from this as well. So instead, let's talk about my favorite genre, roguelike. I just love roguelike because at start you become weak and you don't know how to fight against enemies. But the more you play, the better you get and get and get until you win the game, and you win the game constantly. I just love that feeling.
There's a lot I played this year. Wirefrost was my time waster and love to see if I can make it out alive this time. Risk of Rain Returns just felt so good and stressful to go for items or time management. And the Light Brigade is so frustrating to play. Long story short, aiming in this game is too realistic and honestly depletes fun for me. And restarting takes forever as you need to go back to the starting point with no quick restart button. But if there's a game I want to narrow down for the nominees, I would probably go with this one. Roguelike games, especially card building ones, started to feel somewhat similar at times, at least for me. And while each has their twists and turns, nothing was out there. And while Cobalt Core doesn't revelize any idea, it does bring sparks of inspiration to have something different. Like having the concept of not only being able to shield incoming attacks, but dodge them or have asteroids or something to intercept that attack. That is such a cool thing that I haven't seen any other roguelike games do so. At the very least in card building ones. Having multiple ships, different characters having different abilities, and you are encouraged to play them all to unlock the final ending, that is actually lovely. I really love how in the middle of the game you can just jumble up your ship because lol, why not? And even if I get the worst build, I just love doing it because lol, why not? And I think that's a pretty good vibe with this game. Lol, why not? The characters in this game are pretty silly and the interactions between each of them is so simple and silly that it just brings a smile in my face. Some of the dialogues are pretty much repeatable, like when you visit a shopkeeper, but honestly, it doesn't bother me too much since it's just one-liners and then you do shopping and all that jazz. Well, you don't actually shop. Actually, there is no currency in this game. Just do you pick option A or B type of deal, which is fine, but that does lead to a problem. Or lack of it, shall we say. This game is a bit too easy. Even when I played in the hardest difficulty, the game did give me a challenge, don't get me wrong, but honestly, I beat it in like third try because I tapped it with the difficulty. This is because dodging and avoiding getting hit is easier than you would expect. Plus, the options you get with card abilities can be broken. For example, there's a card that when used, you get a passive ability. For the rest of the combat, every time you move, your gun will shoot one laser. Now, there's another card that lets you auto move to space, hit, move one, hit, move one. But because of the passive ability you are now using 5 lasers in one card. And if you're using a SIP with an upgrade that you can use both guns at the same turn, that's 10 shots in one turn. No, one card. Trust me when I say this, that is like 75% of an average enemy's SIP health. I did say it's a problem, but I don't think that's a right word per se. More so, you need to be aware that this game won't be as difficult as other roguelike card building games you have played. Easy games are not bad games after all, they are just easy. I just want to add one more thing before we move on because I don't know where else to place this. The music. I love the music in this game, and I don't know if the composer intentionally or not did this, but the vibe it gives hits so close with faster than light soundtracks. And I also love that game. Spent hours and hours just playing that. Maybe the composer was inspired, or maybe because both are space games, or maybe because I have the nostalgia for faster than light, or maybe just all three are true. But nonetheless, this game is good. This game is fun. It is a bit easier than I would like in roguelike, but the story, the characters, and the vast gameplay option deserves to be recognized. Play this game. It's a fun space game.
Man, nostalgia is such an amazing thing. To the point, some developers take advantage of that and fail miserably. The opposite is also true. Some game is so good that when they try to make a sequel or anything related to it, it just doesn't hit the same, man. It just sucks. Not because the game is bad or anything, it just could not hit that peak anymore. And I started to have that same feeling for this franchise until this year they brought up a new game. And I can't believe I'm going to be saying this. I think I'm starting to like 2D Mario games again.
Super Mario Wonder, or what I like to call it, Mario Devs on Drugs the game.
You know I'm right. Don't deny it.
What this game has done is so unique and charming that it genuinely feels like a breath of fresh air for 3D Mario game. Heck, maybe even 2D platformers. The presentation is a very big upgrade with this game, with now Mario and others having animations when running, going through pipes, and Luigi's death stare. And also some characters has secret blocks that only they can perceive. Everyone else can hit them, but only they can see that hidden block, which doesn't change the game, but it's very nice touch to have. The gameplay itself has been special as well. There's this wonder seeds you need to collect, and when you dive into the wonder world because of the flower, the gameplay changes in whatever the game decides it's. And let me tell you, seeing different ways and the game decides to implement the wonder world per level, it is so interesting and fun to experience it. The music is pretty great as well. Nothing mind-blowing, but it's still really fun to listen while traversing through the level. And honestly, that is perfectly fine. If I have a complaint, it would probably be the limit of purple coins. See, you can only collect 999 purple coins before you don't get any more. Which, I get that they want you to buy stuff from the shop more often, but I reached that in under 2 worlds and planning to save them to buy a wonder seed per world. But other than that, it's your typical Mario 2D game that has become better. Trust me, last time I had this much fun was with New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and that's just because of the whole co-op chaos. With That said, if you ever felt like 2D Mario games was a bit stale or dull lately, Wonder World is a great suggestion to come back to. I stopped playing 2D Mario game after the Wii U version as everything just felt the same. But when I saw people playing this one, Wonder World, I wanted to see if it would spark my joy again. And, well, it certainly did.
I can't believe I'm actually liking 2D Mario platformers again. Everything just felt the same, and then Mario Wonder came to prove me wrong. But there's also some, shall we say, genres that I just couldn't really get into. I mean, I'm open to try new things and new puzzles and new genres, but can you blame me when I say I'm not really into mecha?
When I tapped into Elden Ring, I finally got a taste of From Software game. So when I heard that Armor Core 6 was made by the same developers, I was intrigued, but then I shrugged it off as, like I said, I really wasn't into mecha stuff. I mean, last time I was interested in it was Power Rangers, but let's be honest here, everyone was. But like clockwork, a friend was playing the game, another was also playing it, I saw the gameplays, I wanted to try it myself, and I got the game.
If my channel ever has a bingo card made, one of them is definitely his friend played the game in front of him and now he wants to play the game himself.
Nonetheless, I tried the game and, well, I might get a little bit of heat for this, but I like this game more than Elden Ring. I know, blasphemy, but hear me out. Elden Ring is an open world game, which I usually don't like, but I think how Elden Ring implements this is pretty and well done. But the problem I usually have with this game is I don't know where to go per se. I just need to walk around aimlessly because I don't have a guide on what to do next until I get hints from other NPCs here and there. And while exploring is part of the game, sometimes you just want to get things done. Armor Core 6 is mission based. Basically, each mission you are deployed in certain location, do your objection, done, next mission. And yes, I will openly admit that Armor Core 6 is an easier game than Elden Ring. The game is still challenging as hell. Heck, the very first mission took me like 3-4 tries to beat it, and oh boy, the last one I was so close to dying. I also love the whole presentation of this game. It looks stunning, gorgeous even, and I love how you can customize your mecha to be, well, anything. Custom logo, paint job, weapons you want to use, missiles or not, speed, flying speed, hover mode or not, etc, etc. Heck, some people spend hours just making these. Like, holy moly, you guys are talented. Of course, there's limitations, like you can't use too much weight and or power output, the pros and cons of each stats, light versus heavy build, etc. But to have that options, knowing you can make your dream mecha, or at the very least, very close to it, that is such an amazing thing to have. The only complaint, I guess, is that you need to unlock them as mission goes by. Plus, these are expensive, like wallet draining expensive. So it will take some time to get better gears. But I wouldn't say it's a make or break deal. Rather, it's a drive, a motivation to get what you wanted to build your dream mecha, or better gears in general. It also makes sense because each gears has their own tutorials, and they honestly take a while to be completed. So slicing each tutorials after big missions makes sense in terms of fun. speaking of fun, gameplay. The gameplay is pretty much depends to each mission, but it usually goes like this. Go to objective A, destroy X, go to objective B, destroy Y, head back to base. It's not something that exceeds your expectation, but it doesn't need to be anything more, to be honest. The game is fun, and the various things to break, whether it's use fan to overheat the massive ship or destroying another mech, it's actually pretty fun to do them. So honestly, I have no complaints. Okay, maybe one. The stage layout could be a bit better. Like sometimes destroying said fans is such an awkward position that juggling every controls can be a bit, I guess, icky? But honestly, I think it's fine how it is as well. What is icky, but in a good way, I guess, is the story unfolding. This is war, and you are no hero, thus a mercenary doing your job. But every scream, every death, every commands, and every war cry you hear, you just have that feeling. That feeling back of your mind thinking to yourself, am I the bad guy? I mean, so you can just say you're just doing your job, but how much longer will it take that reasoning to stay? It's subtle storytelling, but it is told. Whether people scream at you, their last words, your commander's comment, or even something directly. It's not a joke when war can emotionally drain you. And I think they planted that seed pretty well.
What I just said is heavy, but this is a war game, and when you play a war game, you kind of sign up for it. With that said, you will die a lot, but you will learn what to do every single time you play over and over until you get that sweet victory. Armor Code is not as difficult as, say, other games I've talked about, Elden Ring and, well, a lot of Dark Souls games. But it is still a difficult and challenging game with a lot of customization mode and a lot of story and subtleties being told. It is a fun game with an impressive implementation with a lot of things. It is my recommendation, and honestly, I didn't think I would get into mecha games either, and I did.
Alright, as much as I like to talk more amazing game, this video is already way too long. So, let's go for another quick lightning round before the final two awards. Ready? Venba is a game of how Indian family living in America. It's a nice story with cooking food being the main focal point. Honestly, what playing has its only like 1-2 hours gameplay. Lies of P this is basically another Dark Souls game, and I had fun playing it. I do wish the checkpoint was near the mini bosses, as it gets annoying to die and go all the way, and it takes like 5-10 minutes just to go back and try to fight the mini boss again. The Break-In is a thief simulator game that can also be played in VR, and I had a blast playing with my friend. Note that you might be a little bit lightheaded after a couple of games in. Meet Your Maker is about a custom level that the community made, and you have to explore and see if you can beat it or not. It's a cool concept, just not for me. Dave the Diver brings scuba fishing and sushi waiting simulator together. It's fun, lovely to play, but also eerie and dangerous at times. Honestly, pretty well made game. Cascade Beast, pretty much Pokemon and Digimon combined. It has fun role, and a turn-based RPG is pretty swell. I'll be honest, I just didn't have motivation to pick it up again because other games were a bit more for me, and I had time is just a very limited for me. But still, I would still recommend trying it if ever. Bayday 3 didn't really click with me, but as someone who's trying the game for the first time, it was good. Though I have heard otherwise from veterans, so keep that in mind. Yeah, you want those games, right? So here you go. Now let's see if you can clear them. It's basically that stupid mobile ad games you see that actually exists. It does what it says. bring those stupid games and make you play it. I do wish the UI was a bit snappy and faster, as slow animation was just off-putting when I wanted to just get to the next level already. Blade Runner 2 is a parkour killing cyberpunk game. It's simple, straight to the point, and I had a blast playing it. I do wish that when you are traversing to the world, it could be more compact and faster, but honestly, that's just me. Thunder Ray, indie Punch-Out, where you, punch out your foes and dodge their attacks to win. If you like Punch-Out, I think you will like this one as well. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, heavily inspired by Jet Set Radio, and I can see the charm. Sadly, not for me. I tried. Stray God is a musical choose-your-own adventure kind of game. I love the musical aspect and I love how the story was told. I do have some strife with the game, but it's more so spoiler territory, so all I will say is, in the end, your choices are absolute and sometimes that sucks. And finally, Starfield. Yeah, I played Starfield. It was okay.
Whew. We have talked about a lot of games in this video, and we have reached the point that I've talked about all the games I wanted to talk about for this video. If there's any video games that you want me to go more in details, or any games I haven't even mentioned, please let me know in the comments below and I'll see what I can do from there. With that said, it is time to present the next award. A lot of 2023 games was awesome, amazing, inspiring, but most importantly, fun. And while all of them deserve their own dedication, only one of them gets the award. So, the winner of the Game of the Year 2023 goes to... Well, he didn't win a Grammy, but close enough, eh?
Hi-Fi Rush won this award for 3 reasons. 1.
I'm heavily biased because I'm a musician.
2. How well they executed their idea. The idea was simple. Make a rhythm beat 'em up. And they executed that perfectly. The idea of changing combos just so you can keep your score to be higher. The timing to dodge and grab into enemies to continue your combos. And the way you final hit in each combos has that oomph back into it, both physically and rhythmly. And yes, other games has also executed their idea amazingly. Saying one is better than the other would be blasphemous.
Which comes to my third point. Fun. All the games I played in 2023, for better or for worse, it was fun. But Hi-Fi Rush, it left an impact for me. I wanted to play more. I wanted to do more. I wanted to try something different. I just wanted to do more combo. I wanted to score more. I wanted to get better ranks. I wanted to dodge and then grab, and I just wanted to do everything fun in Hi-Fi Rush. And yes, there are some flaws. There are a lot of flaws in Hi-Fi Rush. But I feel like the fun outweighs the flaws. And I'll be honest, I haven't had this much fun in quite some time. So, congratulations to Tango Gameworks for winning the Game of the Year 2023. You absolutely deserve it. This is the most fun I had in 2023. Well, apart from one other game. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. All the games are on the table now. And, well, as of recording this, I know this is going to be the longest video I've ever made for this channel, WeirdoMaxim. This took a lot of thought. I didn't know which one to pick. I just had to pick. there was a lot of things I had to consider. And it took me weeks, months even, just to pin one game. This was not an easy decision, but the decision I made, I think I'm not going to regret it, and I think it's the best one in my opinion. So, ladies and gentlemen, the best overall game 2023 goes to a game no one expected, myself included.
I will be honest, I didn't even think of playing this game, especially since it came out from the early access way late 2023, November to be exact. But I decided to try it nonetheless, for the heck of it. And I was so glad I did. A lot of games impacted me so much last year, and pinning it to SANABI as the one is something I needed to be assured because, well, I don't think a lot of people even know about this one. There's various reasoning why I picked this, but if I wanted to sum up as to why, I would simplify it like this. Omori is an amazing story with good gameplay. Hi-Fi Rush is an amazing gameplay with good story. SANABI is an amazing story with amazing gameplay. I stayed late just playing one more time over and over, and when I finally beat the game, I went with the legendary difficulty because I was just that immersed on the character's speed, how he hooked, how he attacked, how he interacted with others, how his story was told. I was hooked. And I want people to know this game.
If there's anything you want to take away from this video, please play SANABI. It is my overall game of the year, and more people should know and play this game. Yes. Currently, there is some numbers in it, but it deserves more. It deserves more than it currently has. Please play SANABI. Congratulations to Wonder Person for winning the overall Game of the Year 2023 award. And congratulations to other developers as well for winning their respected games. As I mentioned before, and I'll do it again, if you want these awards, please contact me and I'll see what I can do from there. As for everything else, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me for this award show. Thank you so much to all the guests who helped me make this video, and thank you for watching till this. My name is WeirdoMaxim, signing out. Thank you so much for watching Weirdo Award Game of the Year 2023, and I'll see you next. Oh, wait a minute. I have to make this annual, doesn't I? Ah!